Fáilte Nadine Golair ar Fudan Down. Céad Míle Fáilte, 100,000 welcomes to everybody from around the world. This is Live Irish Myths. I'm Anthony Murphy of Mythical Ireland. This is 69, isn't it? Shaska Isanli. Wow, 69 episodes. We've been doing this since the COVID-19 pandemic began, or at least since the restrictions began in Ireland. What a pleasure it has been for me to tell these stories. Little did I know when I started out that it would become the phenomenon that it has become, and that a lovely tua or tribe or family would grow up around it. You're all very welcome along anyway to Choch Waraku this evening, where we are going to be reading part 3 of 4 of Togail bruidne Dá Derga, the destruction of Dá Derga's hostel, the story allegedly of the great High King of Ireland, Conaire Mór. Earlier on YouTube, Erica Bow said she stopped in early as she has a Zoom meeting with her office at 2 p.m. Central Time. We'll jump back into YouTube when the meeting is done. Daisy Peters says, have an amazing chat, my friends. I'll see you later or maybe tomorrow because I'm going with my father to his doctor. He's not very well, so I wished her the best of luck. So the best of luck, Daisy. Hopefully your dad is fine. Mandy McCurl is saying, hello, everyone from a pea super on the Isle of Mull. I presume that means it's the sort of day you stay indoors and drink soup, is it? Daisy says, Guramahagut, Anthony and everyone. I will watch this amazing episode and maybe I can participate later if I arrive on time. Pocket Rocket says, hello everyone, Fáilte. Muradach Machandrui says, Giariv, Giarich, Muradach, Ta Fáilte Road. And immediately on Facebook, we have a fairly substantial audience. Lloyd Stillwell says, hello. Fáilte, Lloyd, you're the first of the commenters tonight. Margaret Ring is watching. Hello, Margaret, my fellow moderator on the Mythical Ireland community. Mellow Nello, who's Neil, says, hiya. Hello, Neil, Fáilte. Aaron Durrett is watching. Sláinte, Aaron. Heather Garen Rice says, hello, Giagwich. Heather, lovely to have you along. Gary McCracken, who is based in Drogheda, is saying, good evening. Hello, Gary. Barbara Barney says, hi, Anthony. Giagwich. Barbara. Yvette Tillema says, hi, Anthony. Would you tell me why? Wow, cryptic question, Yvette. Why what? Are you referring to earlier the discussion about Maria Gimbutas on the Mythical Ireland community? Maybe not. Anyway, perhaps you might care to fill out your question and give me the other half of it. Todd Desborough said, good evening, Anthony. Giagwich Todd Freya Stohom says, Banachty Anton Augustua Banachty Tussa Fain Freya. Jack Durkin says, hi, everyone. Fáilte, Jack. Melanie Lynn is watching. Banachty. Melanie, Margaret Ring, hello, Anthony, and the lovely Tua. And the sun is shining in Ireland this evening. Yes, it's very cloudy today, but warm, lovely and mild and dry. And the sun has come out this evening. Lovely. Neil says, wow, what a marathon. Take a bow, Anthony. Well, take a bow, everyone, because I wouldn't do it if I wasn't, if I was talking to myself. Nick Eska Casterton, but thanks, Neil. It's lovely to have you along on a regular basis. Nick Eska Casterton, and I think the Castertons actually... we have to be very careful here not to upset anyone, but the Castertons have been in that group of people who have pretty much seen every episode, bar a few. Definitely in the most regular of the viewers. Nick, it's lovely to see you again, Fáilte. Susan Scott says, hello, Anthony and all. Sunny and warm in northwest Connecticut. So, again, the weather theme is going to be shared, I think. Longty Menno C says, how's it going, Anthony and fellow Tua members? Taoiseach Koa Longty. Alex Casterton says, good evening, Anthony and Tua. There's the other one now. Fáilte, Alex, one of the regulars. Carol Barrett says, Giariv. Sláinte, Carol. Steve Martinson, greetings, Anthony and the MythFlix clan. Hope everyone is blessed and well. All good so far, Steve. Banachty, Tussa Fain. Grab a seat, make yourself comfortable. Grab a brew or a dram or whatever you have on yourself. Francis Smith says, Fáilte to all. Fáilte, Francis, lovely to see you again. Ralph Waldron, Gia Glitch. Ta on bro. Oh, you got cut off. Ralph, it's lovely to see you as always. Aaron Durrett says, Conus a talk to Anthony. Tommy Gumop. Trying on a little Irish writing. Love to the Tua. Gra more, Aaron. Scott Gracie says, hello, buddy. I missed last night. Caught up though. Good to see you, Anthony. Well, glad to hear that you caught up, Scott. And it's good to see you. Were you the one that was asking me about the books? I hope that you're going to get yourself some treasures there, really and truly. Melanie Lynn says, hello, Anthony and Tua. Ready for part 3. Fáilte, Melanie. I hope you're in good form. Rowan Grove. I wonder, Melanie, what's the story with you now in terms of, are you still isolated? And how is your horse? Are you able to see your horse? Rowan Grove says, greetings to the Tua from sunny, windy Colorado. Just had a good grilled sandwich made with Kerrygold cheese. Now, listen, we are not talking about cheese tonight. I hope you enjoyed your sandwich, Rowan, but we are not going back onto last night's discussion about cheese. Paula Snow Queen waves, Falcha, Paula. Dean T says, good Lord, this tale. Yeah, I know. It's a long one. Wait till we start Toynbo cooling it. We'll be here for weeks. Francis Tute is watching. Giaguich, Francis, hope you and Simon and the family are all well. Michael Naylor, Mike and Jeanette in Princeton say it's windy in Jersey today, but saying hello to Anthony and Tribe. Yvette says, hi Anthony, if we are switching books to Geoffrey Gant's book, would you please tell me what page? Thank you, everyone. Indeed, I will, Yvette. This is the book, Early Irish Myths and Sagas, and I will be starting on the last paragraph of page 83. Yvette, that's where I'm starting tonight. Hope that helps. Maeve Fiona Callahan says, Trononawa Tua. Trononawa Tusafane. Maeve, welcome. And what a queenly name you have. Jim Conway says, Jim Conway, here, the alignment from Ishnok to Awanmacha continues through Loch Nay to a place beside the town of Antrim called Baloo, Bailua, the mouth of Loo. Ooh, I know little of how to measure where the sun rises, but I guess this is northeast of Ishnok and Awanmacha. Yeah. Let me have a look at that later, Jim, on Google Earth, and indeed in Michael Dames's book. I don't think that's the summer solstice. It must be either side of it. Oh, sorry, I apologize. Didn't mean to do that. Pea soup is thick fog, says Lloyd Stillwell. And there's a thick fog over me because I didn't know that. Thank you for that, Lloyd. Sylvia Martin says, hello from Portugal. Good evening, Sylvia. Trononawa. Mariana Dunn says, hello, dear Tua and Anthony from Breezy, Virginia. So happy to join. Ta Ohas Orum. I am happy that you are here, Mariana. Kristen Gray Taggart says, Ihawa, Anthony August Tua. Hope you all are well tonight. Mix of clouds and sun today in Northern California. Nice to have you in the house, Kristen. Neil, fog as thick as pea soup. There you go. Ralph Waldron. Ta and green egg totniv in Licht. Giariv. In Athleague, isn't it, Ralph? Yes. Melanie Corpy says, hey from Georgia, USA. Falcha, Melanie, lovely to see you again. Dean T says, rainbows, everyone, and smart Tony Sláinte. John Roach, after the show, why not pop into the Hostel bar and grill wine, Bushmills and Dá Derga's cheeseburgers sizzling hot? Yes, indeed. I might do that. Well, I'll do the whiskey part. Julianne Osborne is watching. Hello, Julianne. How are you? Helen Guinan is in the house. Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness. Oh, I apologize for the squeaky chair. Allow me to genuflect again, Your Majesty, with a little bit of decorum and silence on this occasion. Alwyn Roy Badziak says, hello, Anthony and Tua. Looking forward to my daily fix. Absolutely brilliant, Alwyn. Falcha. Jennifer Foley says, hello, everyone. Giaguich. And Helen is saying hello to everyone and gives the royal wave. Long T Menno say hi, Margaret. Tom King, good evening, Anthony, and the friendly Tua. I will not distract Anthony and will tend my forge. Good man, Tom. Delightful to see you, as always. Barbara Kling, hello, everyone. Beautiful day here in Vermont. We'll be watching while walking. Lovely stuff, Barbara. Adrian Callahan, yes, I just started watching from the beginning. Brilliant, Adrian. Hope you're enjoying those early episodes. Debbie Daly says, good evening from sunny California, Anthony. Giaguich, Debbie. Eileen Bruch says, hello from a windy, sunny day in Philadelphia. Falcha, Eileen, good to have you along. And pull up a chair, make yourself comfortable. Well, we'll always be here. Rarely miss an episode, says Alex. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Henry Paddy Shearman, who tells me he prefers to be called Paddy than Henry, but I don't mind what you want to be called, Henry, so long as I don't call you early in the morning. Isn't that it? Paddy says, good evening, Tua. Good evening, Anthony. Falcha. Louise Sherrill says, hi again. Lovely to have you back with us, Louise. Hi, Anthony and dear Tua, says Dave Russell. Lying in bed, looking up at the ceiling. It may not be the best ceiling around, but it's definitely up there. I think you're the only person to ever explore the myths in this way, says Neil. I don't know. What is this way? Because we're kind of, we've kind of been reading a lot, haven't we? No? It's what I love about it is the interaction. It's the fact that every episode is a learning episode for me, and I'm getting bounce back from people who know, for instance, Irish, people who are able to relate similar mythical themes from other mythologies. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful learning tribe. Paul Gowron says, good evening to a tribe from Rock, County Dublin tonight. The pea super is when the mist is so thick and low that you cannot see far. Thanks, Paul. Good evening to you. Cheryl Ann McFettridge says, cheers and love from Boston. Banachty, Cheryl Ann. Catherine Woodruff says, hello, Anthony and the Tua. Tronona, Catherine. Weather has been amazing, says Alex. More to come tomorrow here in Albion. Yes, send it over the water there now. We keep coming back, says Nick, because it's brilliant, and the Tua are all wonderful. Still think you're our chief, Anthony. I'm just your facilitator, that's all. Jules Cousins is waving. Hi, Jules, nice to see you again. Movanwe Millward says, Tua. I'm just putting my head around the door to say hello. I haven't been too well this week, but looking forward to listening to these episodes on Dá Derga's Hostel later in the week. I've been learning Irish on Duolingo to keep my mind off virus symptoms. I'll be fluent by the end of the week. Well, get well soon, Movanwe, and keep yourself safe and come back to us, please, when you're feeling better. Rowan Grove says, whoops, sorry, Anthony, that was the last thing I intended. I had a feeling that was the case. Okay. Still lots of restrictions here in Connecticut, but I'm on the farm with the Connemara's every day. I just make my aging mom stay 6 feet away, says Melanie. Oh, that's lovely. Well, I'm glad to hear that some little bit of normality has returned for you, Melanie. Yeah. Sylvia Martin says, hi, thank you. Thank you also for joining us. Welcome. Judy McQueen says, hello from Oregon. Fáilte, Judy. Richard Woodus says, hello, I'm new to watching your videos. Fáilte. Tronona, Richard. You're welcome, and good evening to you. And pull up a chair. You will find the other tribe members, the Tua, as we call them. We're not really a formal tribe. It's just people have started. That's what sprung up out of this whole thing. But you will find, I hope, that you get a lovely warm welcome from everybody. Pat Rowan is watching. Giagich Forig Conastatu on Will to Eg Uber Anukt. Are you working today? Or are you? Angel Barboni Smith says, thank goodness I didn't miss it. No, you certainly didn't, Angel. Lovely to have you along. Great discussion today, Anthony, on Mythical Ireland community. Your input was amazing and outstanding about Maria Gimbutas. Yeah, I've had, it's funny, sort of privately, I've had a couple of people talking to me about, said Maria, and there's a lot of people who sit on the fence about these things, but you're better off speaking your mind, and it's not that there was anything nasty said, there wasn't, and it was a very, very interesting discussion around the pushback against her ideas. Now, I think, actually, do you know what? There's an episode in that, isn't there? There is an episode in that. We could call it. Now, let me just get my list of episode suggestions up. What time are we on? 13 minutes already. Sure, look. We might as well. I'm taking a note of that, Margaret. I'm going to credit you with that. And the episode would be the work of Maria Gimbutas and how it relates to Ireland. And Margaret Ring is the suggester there. I'm putting you in as a suggester anyway, because you just prompted that there. And I think that would be a lively and interesting discussion. Why don't we open it out to the whole community? Because although it's on Facebook, there are all the people who watch here may not be familiar with it, and the YouTubers, etc. John McGovern is watching. Fáilte John Conasata to Nora Gaffney O'Connor says, hi there, how's Anthony on the Tua? Weather so good. HRH Helen, great swim today. The sea is crystal clear. Good evening to you, Nora. Sounds like you're having a lovely time. And yeah, it's warm and sunny now. Earlier on, it was warm and cloudy. Now the clouds are gone. Mary Burgess says, hello, everyone. Fáilte, Mary. Guido Bruce says, Ein Goedenavond uit Nederland, Anthony, which I presume means a good evening from the Netherlands. Always a pleasure to see you, Guido. Guido, by the way, is a gentleman who has been a long time follower of Mythical Ireland and reader of my books. And I have met him, and we have exchanged books. Isn't that right, Guido?
We met here in Drogheda. Was that last year or was it the year before? I can't remember now. Time goes by so quickly. Aaron Eckert says, hey, you all. Good evening, Aaron. What a lovely Irish name. Kerem Gogus is in the house. Fáilte Kerem, my good friend. And I hope you are still 3Ding ancient monuments into life. Kerem, for those of you who don't know, has been responsible for reconstructing 2 ancient monuments, one of which we've had in 3D in virtual form on the computer, one of which we had an episode about, which was Dronehenge. The other is Ireland's Stonehenge, which is another episode I'll be coming up on soon enough. It should be interesting. Mello Nello says, with a live interactive audience, never seen anyone else do it. Oh, right, okay, on the internet. Yeah, very good. I'm not sure that I'm the only one, but sure, look, it's good to facilitate these things. Jason says, finally caught one of these live. Well, Jason from Anthony, Just Anthony, and Two of the MythFlix, just Two of the MythFlix. Fáilte Mór. Pull up a pew, grab yourself a dram, or maybe it's just a brew. Maybe you're just having a cup of tea or a coffee. Sit down, imagine yourself by a warm fire, surrounded by friends, and we're going to have some scéalta. Michael Bratton says hello from San Diego in California. Good evening, Michael. Tranona wa Tusafane. Heard the post at the door and went to check. My copy of Ireland, A Sacred Journey has finally arrived, says Rowan Grove. Brilliant. You will be engrossed, Rowan. A fabulous work. Liam Smith says, good evening, Anthony and co. Fáilte, Liam. Oh, wow, there's a big audience tonight. Some new faces and names, which is great to see. Cars Peel says hello from Oregon. I'm not sure if we've seen you before, Cars. If we have, I apologize. If we haven't, Fáilte, Banachty, and pull up a seat and make yourself very comfortable. Brendan Kinch, I haven't seen you in a while, Brendan. Hope life is well. A clear night in southeast Spain. A busy night for my scope and camera, hopefully, but time for MythFlix before dark. Brilliant stuff, Brendan, and I hope you've got some targets. Hopefully before the week is out, you might get a glimpse of Comet Swan. Oh no, I'm not sure. You're in Spain. It's due to come into the skies here over the next... I think it's the 22nd is the first time it's available. Yeah, and a big welcome is being extended to the newcomers. Kathy May Deo says, good evening, Mr. Anthony. I'm a little late. I had a work Zoom meeting. That's perfectly okay, Kathy. You haven't missed the story anyway. Hello to another cloudy day from Newcastle, Washington State. Tá sé scamalach. I knew it is cloudy today. Yes, at work, says Pat. Well, look, Pat, we know you're there. Keep her between the ditches. That's the main thing. Stay safe. Is that on the community page? Yes. So there's a separate, just for those of you who are new, if you're on Facebook, you're undoubtedly watching on the Facebook Mythical Ireland page. But there is also a separate Mythical Ireland community, which is a group where you can interact in a better way because you can post things rather than just responding to posts that are there already. So I'm going to paste a link to that for the newcomers. If when we're finished, you want to pop on over to the Mythical Ireland group, it's called, well, it's the link is Mythical Ireland group, but it's the Mythical Ireland community. And in particular, I think Neil was talking to or about our discussion earlier about Maria Gambutas. Alex says, Richard Woodus is my very close and trusty friend. I mentioned MythFlix to him today and asked him to pop in. Brilliant stuff. Thanks for doing that, Alex. And a big fáilte, céad míle fáilte to Richard from all the tour. Brian Keefe O'Neill says, I've bought 10 cases of Guinness this time to get me through the hellos till we knuckle down to the nitty-gritty. Looking forward to it. A good one, Brian. Fáilte. Okay. A lot of people talking to each other, which is great. Grace Walker says, sorry I'm late. Hello from L-I-N-Y. Well, there's no problem, Grace. And as Katrina on Creoch always says, this is a no brown zone. And brown in Irish is the Irish for sorry. We don't say sorry here. It's grand. Pull up a chair and enjoy yourself and relax. Margaret Kiernan says, evening, Anthony and gang. A bit late. Better late than never, Margaret. Fáilte. Paul Gowan, Anthony's dermatology to discuss to do with the graves of the Leinster men in Clare Tipperary. There might be, but I'm not au fait with it, so I would have to do some research. I I'm pretty sure my good friend Derek Ryan, the Tipperary Antiquarian, is his page, by the way, is au fait with that story, and I may ask him if we can maybe discuss it. Guido says 2 years ago. Yeah, how time flies. Movanwe says, I'm a big fan of Maria Gimbutas. Can't wait, and I'll be checking your Facebook posts, Anthony. Better head off now. Lots of love to you all. Grow more, Movanwe. Keep yourself safe and well, and come back to us when you're feeling better. Okay. Deborah Hoyle says, good evening. Trononawat, Deborah. Great to see you. Jason, just Jason. I prefer Guinness. Sláinte. Laura O'Reilly says, hey, Anthony. Fáilte. Laura, Conasatá too. Surely we're up to date now. Please say we are. Not that it matters. This is all part of the thing, you know. Demi Woe says, late checking in, but was listening in the car on the way home from the chiropractor. Hope everything is good with you, Demi. Trononawat, Fáilte. Fáilte is right, like Scarlet. I'm going to beat you bald-headed to Donny. Okay, I'm going to ignore that because I don't know what that's about. And Seamus Marr says, hello, everyone on YouTube. The Woodsies in Monaster Boys say, Icha, Anto, take a drop or two before you read tonight. This Stokes guy is hard work. We're changing book, Woodsies. We're changing book. We're going with the less antiquated, less archaic English tonight. Amber Lynn says, garden took over my life last week. You covered in weeds, Amber, were you? Mandy McCurl says, this way is interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary. Yes, I like that. I like that. Amber Lynn says hello. I'm not sure if we said hello already. Fáilte, Amber. And I think we're up to date. River says, hello, everyone from sunny Western New York. Fantastic. Tá an Green Egg Tatnif. Right, here we go. So we're changing book. We're reading tonight from, Yvette Tillema knows exactly what we're reading from this time, Early Irish Myths and Sagas, which is a Penguin classic. And it's edited by a guy called Jeffrey Gantz, published 1981. There you go. After that, what did you see? Asked Lumne Druth. I saw an apartment with 3 men in it. And of course, when we talk of an apartment, this is a very old mythology written down in the Middle Ages. We're not talking about an apartment as in an apartment complex, a place that you live in. We're talking as in a segment of a house or a building, a compartment, as it were. With 3 men in it, 3 ill-favoured, close-cropped men, and the largest of them was in the centre, said Inkel. Could you do a feed on the contemporary tools used when Newgrange was built? Yeah, we're definitely going to do some. We have to do one about the mythology of Newgrange. That may take several episodes. We're going to do one about the reconstruction of the rather controversial reconstruction. So we'll have a discussion around that. Newgrange. Tools used during its construction or at the time of its construction. Contemporary tools used at time of its construction. And that suggestion is from Henry Paddy Shearman. Okay, that's noted, Paddy. Thank you for your suggestion. Okay, right. The descriptions of people in this epic in Togail, bruidne, Dá Derga are very interesting. They're almost comical, aren't they? Clamorous, sweated, hard-bodied, fierce, dealing mighty blows that can slay 900 in battle. He had a dun-coloured wooden shield, dun being brown, with a hard serrated edge of iron, and on its front there was room for 4 bands of 10 weaklings each. The boss was very strong. That's the boss of the shield, not the boss. No, don't, Anthony. The boss was very strong. It was as deep as a yawning cauldron that could hold 4 oxen placed over 4 pigs of medium age. Alongside him, 2 5-benched boats, each large enough to hold 3. I apologize, I wasn't turning the page quick enough. To hold 3 parties of 10 men. They couldn't just, somebody else has said this, was it last night or the night before? They couldn't just say 30 men. They had to say 3 parties of 10 men. Obviously, it's the way the seats are arrayed. 2 5-benched boats. So if they had 5 benches and they could hold 30, so that's 6 per bench, isn't it? Simple arithmetic even trips me up, I can tell you, at the best of times. A glittering red spear he had, fitted to his grip and resting on a powerful shaft. It extended from the floor to the ceiling. Its iron point was dark and dripping, a full 4 feet between any 2 of its points, a full 30 feet from the dark point to his death-dealing sword. From the dark point of his death-dealing sword to its iron hilt. And it emitted fiery sparks that lit up the house's mead circuit from floor to floor. Or from floor to roof, even. A powerful form I saw after looking at those 3. I nearly died from fright. There is nothing stranger. 2 cropped heads next to the one with hair, 2 lakes next to a mountain, 2 surfaces of blue sea, 2 hides next to an oak, 2 small boats full of thorns floating upon a wheel cover, and there seemed to be a slender stream of water upon which the sun was shining with a trickle down from it, and a hide rolled up behind it, and the pillar of a royal house in the shape of a great lance overhead. A great load for any team of oxen, that shaft. Explain that, Fer Rogan. Not difficult that, said Fer Rogan. Machecht, son of Shna... Katrina, I wish Katrina was here. So how do you pronounce in Irish S-N-A-D-E? You would think it's Snade, but it's not. Snadje. And if it's lenited... never mind. Snadje Techid, that one, the champion of Conaire, son of Etterskale. And of course, Conaire is the king who is central to the whole story. A good warrior, Machecht. And of course, Machecht was the name of one of the last trio of Tuatha De Danann kings, the kings of the Tuatha De Danann, when the Milesians arrived. Macul, Machecht, and Magrania. Macul being the son of the hazel, Machecht being the son of the plough, or the ploughshare, and Magrania being the son of the sun. Asleep he was, prostrate in his apartment when you saw him. The 2 cropped heads next to the one with hair that you saw, those were his 2 knees drawn up next to his head. I told you, it's quite comical in its descriptions. The 2 lakes next to the mountain that you saw, those were his 2 eyes next to his nose. Mary Clarence says, good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm late. That's perfectly okay. This is a no-brown zone, Mary. We're delighted to have you along. Fáilte, make yourself comfortable. We're only a page into the story. Well, actually, this is part 3, so we're several pages in, but you know what I mean. We're only a page since we started tonight. The 2 hides about the oak that you saw, those were his 2 ears about his head. The 2 small boats upon the wheel cover that you saw, those were his shoes upon his shield. The slender stream of water upon which the sun shone, and the trickle down from it, that was the flickering of his sword. The hide that you saw rolled up behind it, that was the scabbard for his sword. The pillar of the royal house that you saw, that was his lance. When he brandishes it, the 2 ends meet, and he casts it wherever he pleases. The 2 surfaces of blue sea that you saw, those were his eyebrows, matched exactly on his handsome, ruddy countenance. A good warrior, Machecht. 600 will fall by him at the first onslaught, and a man for each weapon, and a man for himself, and he will match the performance of any man in the hostel. He will boast of victories over kings and royal heirs and plundering chieftains, and though wounded, he will escape afterwards. And this is a very interesting thing about this story, is that the the climax towards which it is inevitably building is being described all the time in future terms. It's being prophesized or it's being foretold. And the thing is that basically when the story gets to its climax, there's nothing left to tell because it's all been told beforehand in the run up to it. I mean, here we have, that he's going to kill 600, but that he will escape with his life even though he's wounded. And this is before it all happens. And by the way, I just wonder whether we couldn't consult the sages in relation to this story, and if they could sort of give us the winning lottery numbers for the Euro Millions, we could share it. I mean, even if there's 100 of us, I mean, if we won 100 million, it'd be £1 million each, So maybe we could ask them to give us the winning lottery numbers. Gillian Gogarty is watching. Gillian, Conasata, you're very welcome. When he encounters you in the hostel, as numerous as hailstones or blades of grass or stars in the sky will be your cloven heads and cloven skulls and heaps of entrails that he crushes after he has scattered you about the ridges. Nasty stuff. I'm sorry to hear about your technical issues, Megan. Yeah. Skipping and repeating no matter what I do. Are you on Wi-Fi on broadband, or are you on network data? I wonder. Would it make a difference if you switched from one to the other? The raiders retreated over 3 ridges then, trembling and in fear of Machecht. And Gair, Gabor, and Ferrogan reaffirmed their pledges. Woe to him who carries out this destruction, if only because of this one man, said Laune Drua. Your heads will leave your bodies. It's another way of saying you're going to meet a gruesome death. Poetic, perhaps, almost comical way of saying it. You do not rule me, said Inkel. Clouds of blood will come to you. Indeed, Inkel, the destruction is yours by right, said Laune Druth. You will suffer no loss. It will be more difficult for me, however. No lie that, said Inkel. After that, what did you see? Asked Laune Druth. Inkel, I'm just trying to check. I didn't think Stokes had a fodder on the E of Inkel. And I think I was pronouncing it Inkel, and now it's Inkel. Yeah, he didn't. And now there's a fodder on it. I don't know. Now, just may I interrupt very briefly and make sure that I've marked my place in the story. Yes. That today, separately, I had ordered Togail bruidne Dá Derga, edited by Eleanor Knott. And that has arrived today, and it's a beautiful little hardback version. It's fabulous, right? Now, the only thing is, this is entirely Oscailga. This is all in the Irish. And what I really would love to have is, like the Book of Invasions and like Caught My Chura from the Irish Text Society. And this is an Irish Text Society publication, I think. No, actually, it's Dublin Institute for Advanced Studies. I would love to have the Irish on one page and the English on the other. So somebody asked me today, and I haven't been able to answer them yet, from what word is lute, the musical instrument, the lute, last night. And I wasn't able to tell him. But the difficulty with this is, while all the paragraphs are numbered from the original manuscript, or from the markings in the manuscript, the translations don't have the markings. So I'm going to have to try and match page for page from one translation to the other. Not impossible, but I don't speak fluent Irish, and I don't know a lot of the words. And of course, this is early Irish, so... Anyway, a lovely little addition to the ever-expanding library, for which there is currently no room for any extra books. So why am I buying books? What I'm buying them for is to keep you guys happy, isn't that it? That's the story anyway. Patricia Langton is watching. Fáilte, Patricia. Okay. I saw, so after that, what did you see? Asked Laune Druth. I saw an apartment with 3 callow youths in it, said Incail. And I'm going to pronounce it Incail because it's got the fada on the E. They wore silken mantles with gilded brooches. They had manes of yellow gold hair. And when they engage in combat, their manes extend to the front of the apartment. Magical hair growths. Just for men in medieval Ireland. Moreover, when they raise their eyes, their hair rises until no part of it is below the lobes of their ears. As fleecy as a ram, their cloaks, 5 concentric circles of gold, and the candle of a royal house above each youth. I would love to know, and this is scholarship that I'm going to have to go and dig out. I would love to know what the Irish for concentric is. Perhaps some of the Gaelgors who are watching might be able to tell us. Katrina doesn't seem to be here this evening, who is my resident Gaelgor. 5 concentric circles of gold, and the candle of a royal house above each youth. And there is not a man in the house who can match them for voice and words and deeds. Explain that, Fir Rogan. Fir Rogan wept, so that his cloak was wet about his face, and for a third of the night not a word was to be had from him. Little people, he said, what I do is proper. Obal and Oblania, there's probably a lenition there. Oval and Ovlania and Corporal Musk, those 3 youths, the 3 sons of the king of Eru, spelt exactly as in the name of the ancient goddess. And we were speaking about her in our episode about Eru at the Bealtaine just after the Ishnok episode, wasn't it? On May the 6th. What episode was that? I should probably tell the newcomers where all the old episodes are. In addition to that, it's lovely to see the spelling. Eru rather than Era, because that's the original spelling. E-R-I. Episode 56. And of course, we mentioned her today in our discussions on the Mythical Ireland community in relation to Maria Gimbutas's work. Woe to us if that is the case, said the sons of Dund Desa. Good the trio in that apartment. Concentric is Colornach, says Trina Niark. Thank you for that. Yeah, but now I wonder, is that a modern word? Are you looking that up or do you know it? Sorry, Katrina, do you know? Sorry, I apologize. I didn't want to jump to conclusions there. Do you know Irish? Is that a modern word, do you know, or is it an older word? I'd love to see the original Irish for it. I'm interested in it because we see lots of concentric circles in Irish megalithic art, and I'm just wondering if there's such a word. So, for instance, spiral. Corwell. I can't remember the name for spiral. Concentric was a mighty Irish king. Never mind. Terrible joke. Good the trio in that department. They have the bearing of young girls, the hearts of friars, the courage of bears, and the ferocity of lions. Anyone who is in their company and in their bed will neither sleep nor eat in comfort for 9 days after escaping from them. This is modern, but I will check the DIL. Thanks, Trina. Thanks a million for that. Bob Best in Boston says, late. Sorry. No problem, Bob. Rob, this is a no-brown zone. No need to be sorry. What is spiral in Irish? Corwell. I have a blog post about this. Spirog and Cor. Let's wonder now whether I can find it really quickly. Somebody else will find it for me, I hope. I apologize for the interruption to your regular broadcast while we bring you the Irish words for spiral. Bish. Bishach. Jane and Bish. Yeah, but there are old words for spiral. Sorry, we have to interrupt this broadcast. It's something like Corwall or Corvoil or something like that. I'm getting it wrong. I know I am, and I'm going to kick myself now. Spirog, I think, is one. Bishach, Bifadah. Corwall, Cuardhual. Spirog, I was wrong about, it appears. Bishach, Bifadah. And Corwall, DH, Corwall, Cuardhual. And after that, probably needless interruption, but these things get on my wick, so I have to find out what they mean immediately, or what they are. Anyone who's in their company in the bed, whatever. Good are the warriors of their people. 3 tens will fall by them, not 30, but 3 tens. At the first onslaught, and a man for each weapon, and a man for each of them. And they will match the performance of anyone in the hostel. They will boast of victories over kings and royal heirs and plundering chieftains, and though wounded, they will escape afterwards, and 2 of you will fall by them. Concentric is co-chrinche, says Paul. Interesting. Yeah. I can't find my own blog post about it. I'm ashamed. Woe to him who carries out this destruction, if only because of these 3, said Laune Druth. You do not rule me, said Incail. Clouds of blood will come to you. After that, what did you see? It's interesting, isn't it? Clouds of blood. Was it not clouds of cowardice or fog of cowardice or something last night, wasn't it? Clouds of weakness are coming to you. Yeah, so every time there's a description, Incail asks Fer Rogan, what did you see, or who did you see after? And at the end of the description, he always says the same things. Last night, Stokes' translation said clouds of weakness are coming to you, and the Gans version has clouds of blood will come to you. So that's very interesting. Difference in opinion about how a particular word should be translated, which is why it is always good to view as many translations as possible. And after that, to consult an expert in early Irish. I saw an apartment with 3 men in it, said Incail. 3 strange, horrible men with 3 heads each. 3 fearsome favori without the form of human beings. The raging sea has given them features that are not easy to recognize. Each head has 3 full rows of teeth from ear to ear. Noble stewards of households each, and each with 100 exploits. Their swords hew through the host, about Burg Buradach in the assembly at Dá Derga's hostel. Explain that, Fer Rogan. Difficult that, said Fer Rogan. Usually they say not difficult to explain. Now he's saying it's difficult. I know no trio in Eru or anywhere else like that, unless they are the trio whom Makecht brought single-handedly out of the land of the Favori, the Fomorians. There could not be found among the Favori even one man to face him, so he took the trio to Conaire's house as a guarantee that the Favori would not spoil milk or grain in Eru beyond their lawful allowance, and that so long as Conaire reigned. They are not pleasant to look at indeed, with their 3 rows of teeth from one ear to the other. An ox with a salted pig would be a typical meal for each of them, and that meal, when eaten, would be visible down to their navels. Bones without joints the 3 have. I swear by the God my people swear by. When they destroy, the dead outnumber the living.
I see. That's very interesting too. The translation here is, I swear by the God that my people swear by. Usually that is in the plural. I swear by the gods, plural, that my people swear by. One wonders, is that a little mistake in the translation? Or if in fact it was assumed to be more comfortable to refer to a single God. Perhaps the writer was monotheistic. Never mind. 600 warriors will fall by them at the first onslaught. Interesting. He actually says 600, not 1250s or, 600s or, thrice 200. And each of them will kill with no more than a bite or a kick or a blow, for they are hostages placed against the wall, lest they do any misdeed, and therefore they are not allowed to have weapons in the hostel. I swear by the God my people swear by, if they had weapons now, they would kill 2/3 of us. Woe to him who carries out this destruction, for it will not be a contest against the weak, said Laune Druth. You do not rule me, said Incail. Clouds of blood will come to you. After that, what did you see? Asked Laune Druth. Just give me 1 second. That's annoying me. Or that's not annoying me, but I just want to see about whether I swear by the... I swear by the God or gods. Of course, I won't be able to find it now. I wonder is sorry, I'm distracted now and I want to get back to the story. I swear by what my tribe swears is here. But I thought there was, if somebody has the time, is the Stokes version of the destruction of Dá Derga's hostel online that you could do a quick find for, I swear by the, and see if it's plural gods or singular god. I apologize for the delay. I'll get on with it now. I saw an apartment with 3 men in it. Surprise, surprise. There we go. There's another apartment with 3 men in it, said Incail. 3 huge dark men. They wore dark garments and heavy ankle bracelets. They were out on release for the day from the prison. And each of their limbs was as thick as a man's waist. Their heads were broad and covered with dark curly hair, and they wore cloaks of speckled red. Dark shields they had, with curved animal clasps of gold, and 5-pointed javelins and ivory-hilted swords. This is the trick they would perform with their swords. They would throw the swords up in the air, and the scabbards after, and the swords would return to the scabbards before the scabbards could strike the ground. When they would throw the scabbards up in the air, and the swords after, and the scabbards would... then they would throw the scabbards up in the air, and the swords after, and the scabbards would envelop the swords before the swords could strike the ground. Explain that, Fer Rogan. Not difficult, that, Fer Rogan. He's back in form now. It's not difficult this time. Maul, son of Talband, and Muinramor, son of Gergand, and Burgerg, son of Ruad, they, 3 royal heirs, 3 valorous heroes, the 3 best men to stand behind weapons in Eru. 100 warriors will fall by them at the first onslaught, and a man for each weapon, and a man for each of them, and they will match the performance of any trio in the hostel, and they will boast of victories over kings and royal heirs and plundering chieftains, and though wounded, they will escape afterwards. On their account alone, the destruction of the hostel should not be carried out.
Woe to him who carries out this destruction, said Launay Druth. Better a victory won by protecting them than a victory of wounding. Who spares them may survive, who wounds them, woe to him. You do not rule me, said Incail. Clouds of blood will come to you. After that, what did you see? Asked Launay Druth. I saw a man in an ornamented apartment, said Incail, and he is the handsomest of the heroes of Eru. He had a fleecy crimson cloak about him, as bright as snow one cheek, as speckled red as foxglove the other, as blue as hyacinth one eye, as black as a beetle's back the other. His fair yellow hair would fill a reaping basket, and it was as fleecy as the wool of a ram. If a sackful of red nuts were emptied over his hand, not a single nut would reach the ground. In his hands, a gold-hilted sword, a blood-red shield studded with rivets of white gold and gold plates, and a long, three-ridged spear with a shaft the thickness of an outer yoke. Explain that, Fir Rogan. Not difficult, that, said Fir Rogan, for the men of Eru know that child. He is Conall Cernach, son of Amergin, and just now he has fallen in with Conaire, for Conaire loves him above all others, and that because the two are so similar in shape and form. A good warrior, Conall Cernach. Stokes says gods. Yeah, there you go, Trina. Thank you for that. Plural. And we have here God. Very interesting. I will have to refer to the Irish. I'm not going to do it now because it would be too distracting. But now that I have the Irish text, I'm going to refer to it. Thank you for helping us out on that one, Trina. The blood-red shield on his back is so studded with rivets of white gold that it is speckled, and thus the Uli have named it the Brickrew of Conall Cernach. And Uli are the Ulstermen. Uli is the Old Irish word for what we would call Ulster today, the province of the north. I swear by what my people swear by. Many a drop of red blood will splatter that shield tonight at the entrance of the hostel. There are 7 entrances to the house, and Conall Cernach will meet us at each one, and he will not be absent from any, and his ridged spear will serve the drink of death to many. I wonder, is he a bit like the agent in The Matrix, the guy who can replicate himself, Hugo Weaving's character. 300 will fall by him at the first onslaught. Kelly Minich is watching. Jigich, Kelly, how are you? Make yourself comfortable. 300 will fall by him at the first onslaught, and a man for each weapon, and a man for himself, and he will match the performance of any man in the hostel. He will boast of victories over kings and royal heirs and plundering chieftains, and though wounded, he will escape afterwards. When he encounters you in the hostel, as numerous as hailstones or blades of grass or stars in the sky will be your cloven heads and cloven skulls and heaps of entrails that he crushes after he has scattered you about the ridges. Woe to him who carries out this destruction, said Launay Druth. You do not rule me, said Incail. Clouds of blood will come to you. After that, what did you see? Asked Launay Druth. I saw an apartment, the most beautifully decorated one in the house, with hangings and ornaments of silver, and 3 men in it, said Incail. The men on either side were fair, with their flaxen hair and their cloaks. They were as white as snow, and their cheeks blushed pleasingly. Between them a callow youth with the ardour and deeds of a lord and the advice of a seer. The cloak he wore was like mist on the first day of summer. Its colour and appearance changed from moment to moment. Wow. Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat, and each colour was lovelier than the one before. Moreover, there was a wheel of gold over the front of the cloak, and it reached from his chin to his navel. Rowan Grove says, I'm beginning to dislike Inkale. Is that just all of a sudden? He's been a bit creepy all along, hasn't he? Philo Kernunos Nichols says, hi guys, Gia Glitch Philo, Fáilte, pull up a chair, make yourself comfortable, and grab a brew or a dram, whatever you have on yourself. His hair was the colour of refined gold. Of all the forms I have seen in the world, his is the most beautiful. At his side there was a gold-hilted sword, a hand's length of it was visible, and the light reflected from that part of the sword would enable a man out in front of the house to discern a fleshworm. Sweeter the music of that sword than the sweet sound of the golden pipes that drone in the royal house. Yeah, we spoke about the pipes, didn't we? This is yesterday or the day before. This is what I said upon seeing him, Inkale continued. I see a lofty, noble rain and a noisy flowering that blooms with an abundant spring tide. A furious ardour of fair forms is assembled. I see a noble, restrained king who rules by right and by consent from partition to wall. I see the diadem of a fair prince, proper to the dignity of a ruling lord. A gleam of light his lordly countenance. I see his two shining cheeks, as white and glistening and noble-hued as snow. His two eyes are blue-grey and brighter than hyacinth. Firm his brow between a hedge of black eyelashes. I see a crown encircling his head, the colour of beautiful gold over his yellow curly hair. I see his cloak red, multi-hued, of excellent braided silk. I see a huge brooch ornamented with gold that shines with the vigour of the full moon. I see a circle of crimson gems in a bowl-like cluster. Beautiful his head between his straight, bright shoulders. I see a tunic of splendid linen, silken its sheen, refracted and many-coloured its hue. A grazing for the eyes of a multitude, this man. He maintains justice among his people. He delivers from the enemy braided silk ornamented with gold from ankle to knee. I see his sword, its hilt ornamented with gold in its scabbard of white silver. The latter, with its 5 concentric circles, retains its excellence. I see his bright lime-whitened shield overhead. It scorns throngs of enemies. His spear of sparkling gold would illumine a feast, and its shaft is of ornamented gold. His right hand that wards off is the hand of a king. He raises his spear firmly, as a king would, twisting its stiffness. 300 perfect men about this generous king. He overtakes like the scald crow in battle, in the sorrowful hostel. The young lad was sleeping then, his feet in the lap of the one man and his head in the lap of the other. Inkale continued. Paula says, do you think they exaggerate a wee bit? Just a tad, huh? He woke from his sleep then and recited this poem. The cry of Osser, Osser the hound, a shout of youths going up from the marsh of Toolgoshi, a cold wind across a dangerous blade, a night for destroying a king. It is heard again, the cry of Osser, Osser the hound. Battle is declared, the end of a people, the destruction of a hostel, saddened Fianna, wounded men, a fearful wind, the carrying off of spears, pain against unfair odds, the fall of a house, Chower desolate, unknown heirs, weeping over Conaire, destruction of corn, a shout, a cry, the destruction of the king of Eru, chariots whirling about, hardship for the king of Chower. The third time he said, the cry of Osir, Osir the hound, a combat of heroes, youths in slaughter. Slaughter will be done. Champions will be destroyed. Men will bend. Warriors will be despoiled. A bellowing encounter. Shouts raised. Concern shown. An abundance of spectres. A prostrate host. The overthrowing of enemies. A combat of men on the Dohra. Hardship for the king of Chower. Men cut down in youth. Explain that, Fer Rogan. Who recited that poem? Not difficult that, said Fer Rogan. Indeed, it is not a moon without a king. The most splendid and distinguished and handsome and powerful king who has ever come into the world, that one. The kindest and gentlest and most humble as well. Conaire Mór, son of Etherscale, was his name, and he is the High King of Eru. There is no flaw in him, not as to form or shape or clothing, or size or arrangement or proportion, or eye or hair or whiteness, or wisdom or pleasingness or eloquence, or weapons or equipment or attire, or splendor or abundance or dignity, or bearing or prowess or ancestry. Great the youth of this man, who seems simple and sleepy until he undertakes a feat of arms. But if his ardour and fury are aroused while the Fianna of Eru and Alba are about him in his house, then there will be no destruction of the hostel. 600 will fall by him before he reaches his weapons, and once he has obtained his weapons, 600 more will fall at the first onslaught. I swear by the God, singular, my people swear by, should be plural, gods, if his drink is not taken from him, he will reach men from Tund Cleany, that's Tund Cleana, to Tund Essa Ruad, even though he is alone in the house. There are nine. John Roach says, I always find the phrase concern shown an amazing understatement for an apocalypse. Yeah, Katrina is here. Good evening. Trononawak, Katrina Shuglich. We were, what was the word we were looking for? Well, we were looking for the Irish word for spiral. What was the other one, though? Yes, concentric circles, wasn't it? There are 9 entrances to the house, and at each entrance, 100 heroes will fall. And when everyone has stopped fighting, it is then that he will be performing feats of arms. If he encounters you outside the hostel, as numerous as hailstones or blades of grass or stars in the sky will be your cloven heads and cloven skulls and heaps of entrails that he crushes after he has scattered you about the ridges. Vime Janach, that's no problem. I was trying to say, never mind. I was trying to think of the Irish. Katrina, it's absolutely fine. But you're not saying sorry. That's good, because this is a no-brown zone. Isn't that right? But I do not believe that he will succeed in leaving the house. Dear to him are the 2 men in his apartment, his 2 foster brothers, Driss and Snehe. 350s of heroes will fall by each man. At the entrance to the hostel, and no farther than a foot away on this side and that they will fall. 350s, not 150, but 350s. Woe to him who carries out this destruction, if only because of those two men, and the prince who is between them, he, high king of Eru, Conaire Mór. It says Mór here, it's Conaire Mór, isn't it? Son of Etterschale, said Laune Druth. It would be grievous to extinguish that reign. You do not rule me, said Inchael. Clouds of blood will come to you. Indeed, Inchael, the destruction is yours by right, said Laune Druth. You will come to no harm. It will be harder on me, however. No lie that, said Inchael. After that, what did you see? Asked Laune Druth. I saw 12 men gathered round the apartment in a circle, said Inchael, and they had silver swords. Fair yellow manes they had, and bright tunics, and all were equal in form and shape and appearance. All had ivory-hilted swords in their hands, and they did not put them down unless they were holding horsewhips as they gathered round the apartment. Explain that, Fir Rogan. Not difficult that, said Fir Rogan. The guards of the king of Chower they, the 3 Luns of Lithe, the 3 arts of Auchlia, the 3 boars of Bruidne, and the 3 Trainfers of Cuilne. I swear by the God, singular, my people swear by, when they destroy, the dead outnumber the living. 1,200 will fall by them at the first onslaught, and a man for each weapon, and a man for each of them. And they will match the performance of any band in the hostel. They will boast of victories over kings and royal heirs and plundering chieftains, and, though wounded, they will escape afterwards. Woe to him who carries out this destruction, if only because of those 12, said Laune Druth. You do not rule me, said Inchael. Clouds of blood will come to you. After that, what did you see? Asked Laune Druth. I saw a red freckled lad in a crimson cloak, said Inchael, and he was weeping in the house. Wherever the 300 men were, each of them would take the lad to his breast. He was sitting on a bright silver chair in the middle of the house and sobbing, and the household were sorrowful from listening to him. The lad had 3 colours of hair, green, yellow crimson, and pure gold. That would appear to be 4 colours, yellow crimson. Anyway, I do not know whether each hair is multi-hued or whether he has 3 different hairs, but I do know that there is something he fears tonight. I saw 350s of lads in silver chairs round him, and those red freckled lads had 15 reeds in their hands, with a thorn spike at the top of each reed. Wouldn't it be interesting if somebody could draw out bruidne Dá Derga, draw out Dá Derga's hostel as it is described, with each compartment, and with the numbers that are described? I mean, there are clearly thousands of people in this house, in this hostel. It would be an interesting exercise just to try and plot it out, to map it out, and put the numbers in. We were 15 men, and our 15 right eyes were being blinded by him, and one of the 7 pupils in my eye was being blinded by him. Explain that, Fir Rogan. Not difficult that, said Fir Rogan, and he wept until tears of blood poured forth. Wretched that one, for he has been named by the men of Eru against the men of Albu as a champion of hospitality and shape and form and horsemanship. It is grievous. He is a pig that falls before acorns. The making of a king, he is the best ever to come into Eru. The infant son of Conaire, Law Ferflia is his name, and he is 7 years old. Sorry, Flaw, F-L-A-I-T-H. Is that related to Flavius, as in sovereignty? I think it not unlikely that he is foredoomed. No, Sherlock. My God, everybody in the bloody house is doomed. You've been talking about doom and clouds of blood and slaughter and cracking skulls and stupid spear, 5-pointed spears all bloody night. Of course he's going to die. Everyone's going to die. Isn't that what the story's about? I apologize for getting carried away there. Sorry, I'll start that sentence again. I think it not unlikely that he is foredoomed, and that by reason of the various hues of his hair. The 350s of lads round him are his special household. Woe to him who carries out this destruction, if only because of this one lad, said Launay Druth. You do not rule me, said Incail. Clouds of blood will come to you. After that, what did you see? Asked Launay Druth. I saw 6 men before the same apartment, said Incail. Spoilers. The whole story is a spoiler, John Roach. You're great, Anthony, says Nora. You can't beat a bit of entertainment. You know, if you're going to be a proper Shannon Key, you need to be able to make people laugh. I saw 6 men before the same apartment, said Incail. Fair yellow manes they had, and green cloaks and tin brooches for the cloaks. All were mounted like Conal Kernock. Daisy is back. Daisy Peters, I hope your father is good, Daisy. I'm back to my Tua. I couldn't lose it. I believe my dad will be better. Brilliant. That's great to hear, Daisy. Wonderful. All were mounted like Conal Kernock. Each man could put his cloak round the other as quickly as a mill wheel. The eye could scarcely follow it. Explain that, Fir Rogan. Not difficult, that, said Fir Rogan. The 6 servers of the King of Chower they were. Owen, Broin, Banda, Delt, Drocht, and Dahan. That trick does not interfere with their serving, and neither does their intelligence. They are the chieftains in the youth in the hostel. 3 champions, equally matched, will fall by them, and they will match the performance of any 6 men in the hostel, and they will escape afterwards, for they are of the She. They are the best servers in Eru. Woe to him who carries out this destruction, if only because of those 6, said Launay Druth. You do not rule me, said Incail. Clouds of blood will come to you. After that, what did you see? Asked Launay Druth. What I saw was part 4 of Togail bruidne Dá Derga being continued tomorrow night in episode 70 of Live Irish Myths, because we have reached the end of the 3rd part for this evening. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. It certainly wasn't as giddy as last night. I think some of the natives got very restless last night. I think some of you haven't been out in the air for a while. We're perhaps suffering from a little bit of cabin fever, maybe. We had some very, very sort of primary schoolish behaviour. The moonshore was nearly getting angry. I was going to have to wave a stick. But anyway, I enjoyed it. And sometimes you have to let your hair down. Hope everybody's in good form after that. One more episode of that tomorrow. And we will conclude. Now, there are more epics, because somebody has proposed that we read Tónbó Friach. And we have to read Fled Brickrun's Feast, which is another one that will take at least 2 episodes, maybe 3. And at some point, we'll be starting into Tónbó Cúilge. I reckon we'll leave that until we've pretty much covered everything else, you know, so that we're not, that one, you know, I mean, there's only so much of Dá Derga's Hostel that you could put up with, given that it is all about this foredoomed, this, as John calls it, this looming apocalypse that's going to happen. And in fact, it so spoils the end of the story that the end of the story is pointless, because it's been told in the story itself. Poor Conaire, who was such a just and rightful king and a gentle king, and an unblemished king, whose reign was apparently very fruitful, that he should meet such a dark and harrowing and bloody end. It's not good. The Táin will be a week in itself. I think it'll be more than a week, Neil, to be honest, but we'll see. What I might do with the Táin is break it up. There's no point in trying to... I do think people get tired of... I mean, I think, to be honest, Togail, bruidne, Dá Derga, I'm suppose some of you are probably looking forward to its conclusion tomorrow until we get on to something else. If you labor on something or you languish on it for too long, it gets a little bit boring for people. What is the colours of the modern Irish flag, says Amberlynn? Green, white and gold. Tomorrow we'll conclude it. These are not the droids you were looking for. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, these are not the bloodthirsty warriors you're looking for. I'm grateful to you all for joining me and for enjoying it. And it's been good fun tonight. And I think definitely thank you. I actually can't remember who it was that prompted me to this version rather than Stokes' version. Stokes' version was very archaic in its language. I'm grateful to you, the unnamed person who informed us last night of this different translation. Oh, there's Coda. You must be going out for a walk. Anyway, in the meantime, I don't think there's any other particular news. Don't forget to sign up to join the Mythical Ireland community when you're finished, if you're not already a member. And I'll paste that again on YouTube. In the meantime, don't forget that all of the episodes are available on YouTube at youtube.com/Mythical Ireland, or all in the one place on the Mythical Ireland blog. I'm also going to paste that in here as a comment at the Mythical Ireland blog, mythicalireland.com, and go along there, and you should see. I may not have embedded last night's episode, actually. No, in fact, the last episode embedded was about the calendar stone, so I have to embed all of the Conaire Mór, all of the Dá Derga's Hostel. In the meantime, hope that you are all going to stay well and stay safe. Keep washing your hands. Make sure that you keep up your social distancing. Wear a face covering if you're out and about, especially if you're on public transport. The Blackbird is there, by the way. If you're on public transport, or you're in a shopping mall, or you're anywhere where there's crowds of people or lots of people, it's best if you wear a face mask and try to minimize your trips into places where there are people. We'll catch up with you tomorrow night for Ceach the Ceathair, for part 4 of Togail, bruidne, Dá Derga, and the concluding part. In the meantime, Colasov, have a sound sleep. Tranonawa, a good evening. Ichawa, a good night. Or if you're somewhere else in the world where it's still morning, Majinwa, and come back to us tomorrow. Banachti, Movanach Orav Goléir. My blessings to you all. And Slán Gafol. Bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye. And YouTubers, always that extra few seconds for free. Bye-bye. Slán Gafol.
Oh, and good evening. Seem to have